fertility warriors, it's so good to see you guys. I just wanted to hop on here and quickly share with you my ERA experience. So we're just gonna get right to it. I arrived at the clinic and I did my check-in, and then at first I met with the nurse. Now the nurse is supposed to make sure that everything is okay, and as you guys, if you're familiar with my story, I have had anywhere from a cyst to a detectable fibroid, and all those kind of delayed the process. In fact, one time I had to have a cyst test because of that type of a situation. And so to just kind of walk in and not have any issue was such a blessing for me. My lining was an 11, so that was absolutely wonderful. I've never had an 11 millimeter lining, and everything looked good. So then I waited for my doctor to come in. And kind of going backwards a little bit, just to let you know in terms of preparation, even one of the nurses at the clinic had told me how painful the ERA was. They said how they wished that they had taken some Tylenol. I had not taken any Tylenol. And so I was a little bit nervous because, if a nurse kind of like tells you that and you're like, oh my gosh. But there was also this perception that it's routine, kind of like a pap smear, and you'll feel like a pinch, and it's not going to be excruciating at all. And so I called my nurse prior to the ERA while I was waiting to go in, and asked the nurse if they could give me some Tylenol. Now, I didn't actually have time for the Tylenol to take effect. So the nurse was like, you know what, you're going to be great, and just go for it. It's like a pap smear. So I decided to kind of trust that. Now, luckily for me, fast forward to when the doctor was actually in there just to make sure everything was okay, following up with the nurse. The first thing they did for me was actually the mock transfer, just to make sure that everything was fine. I work with the miracle doctor who has over 20 years of experience, so I don't think that he will mess any transfer up. But I did do a transfer mock. And then the second thing we did was the ERA test, the ERA procedure, sorry. So he went in and then he pinched just a little bit of tissue. And I remember I felt it, but your doctor's going to be very gentle with it. They're going to let you know exactly what they're doing. And usually when I'm guided in that calm way, I tend to be more put together and less nervous. So it did pinch for me just a little bit, but it was actually very, very quick. So it took a little bit of the test tissue and then handed it over to the nurse. And before I knew it, it was done. So I got up, gathered myself, and changed, and that was my ERA procedure. And so this is where things got really interesting for me that I did not find with any other YouTuber talking about the ERA. For me, guys, it was my recovery period. I don't know I think my body just takes a while to kind of get together, and my body was very pissed at this ERA procedure because I got on my plane and headed back home. And guys, I needed a day. I needed an extra day. I think I needed an extra day or two to just get myself together. I don't know if it was just the stresses of my travel, because whenever you're doing an IVF, any type of procedure, and you're doing outside monitoring and working with an out-of-state doctor, sometimes the travel can wear on you. But I remember just feeling really, really tired. And my healing process was what actually took a while. Not the ERA itself was painful. The healing process took a while. Just felt myself a little fatigued and tired. So just wanted to share that because I know everybody's experience is different, and I didn't find anybody that talked about that. So I would say if you wanted to just maybe take a day, just in case, may not be a bad idea, just to gather yourself together. I know that was important for me when I went through it. So that's a little bit about my ERA experience. Those of you that have been following me for a while already know that I am exercising patience. I have my chi. The ERA is done. I am happy. And we are moving forward for the transfer. And the way that it's going to work in my situation is we are either going to transfer next month, which will be August, or September. Typically, the nurses have a preference for skipping a cycle, which makes a lot of sense because when you send in the ERA test to economics, they take a while to get back, and that can kind of interfere with your cycle. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see how things go and just take that risk. And remember, the ERA is needed to determine when exactly you should take your progesterone. So if the results for the next cycle come before that, you're pretty good. If they do not come before you're scheduled to start your progesterone, then obviously you have to postpone it. So we'll kind of see how things go. So I could be either transferring in August at the earliest if everything goes well, or it would have to wait until September if the ERA results come in later. So that's where we are. So fingers crossed, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this video was helpful. Bye.